to my channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. It is October 10th, which I am kind of on the struggle bus right now, but not in the worst way. I am getting better. I am having a hard time this week. It is October 10th, which means it is World Mental Health Awareness Day, and I feel like this is very fitting to film today because I am struggling a little with my anxiety right now. I'm trying to look at the positives, like the weather outside. It is absolutely my favorite weather. It is spooky season, which means, clearly this is my motif, like my aesthetic all year round, but that just means that the stores and everywhere else has more things that I can fill my living arrangements with. The weather is 55 degrees out. It is downpouring rain. I live in the Pacific Northwest, so come on, really. Let's talk about like the perfect weather. And so like I've got a nice comfy sweater on. I'm drinking like tea and coffee and cocoa all day. I am trying to find some bright spots. I have put on a red lip, which I haven't been really able to wear a whole lot of lipstick recently because of the masks. Can we talk about this really quick before we get into today's video? Not sponsored in any way, but Besame Cosmetics. Ugh, oh my gosh, you guys, this thing right there. You see that? Let's get a close-up. Oh, beautifulness. Beautiful. Okay, so this is the Love That Redhead, part of the I Love Lucy, or the Love Lucy collection for Besame Cosmetics. I bought it as a treat to myself. You gotta treat to yourself. It is like the perfect orangey toned red, smells like cocoa, and the best thing about Besame Cosmetics, again, not sponsored, although your vintage girl would love some sponsorships eventually. Everything is based on vintage styled colors, tones, like their like the way that they used to do makeup. Instead of having like a mascara wand in a tube, their mascara comes in a cake and you wet your brush and go on like that to do that, or you can use it as eyeliner. So everything is absolutely beautiful. This is turning into, but it's just this like beautiful gold tube. It's anyway, red lips make me happy. So I'm trying to find all the bright spots, but if you want to, I'll link the Besame down below. Finding the bright spots. Why am I trying to find the bright spots? I've had a really kind of just like a rough week anxiety wise, and the big kicker, and my mom has helped me through a lot of this anxiety, is that I filmed my next Crafting with Anxiety video, and we're not gonna say how. A little bit on my part, a little bit on my phone freaking out, and because I use my phone to film, and it's like footage and everything, it just, all my footage gone. I didn't back it up. I am still really new to this. I am trying to save for a car. I don't really have an external hard drive. There's a lot of stuff that I'm still working towards this YouTube channel, but basically all my footage gone, which was over the span of a couple of days. For, Crafting with Anxiety, craft projects take time, and I started to do editing on it, that it's just all gone. Some real bad anxiety. My mom came up with this idea. So, Crafting with Anxiety 2.5, not really 3, because if the project is finished and you're asking, what did you make? What did you make, Vive Loot? Well, looters, let me tell you, I made something glorious. Well, looters, I did a chair. I reupholstered and fixed up this chair. This chair belonged to someone very important to me in my life. This chair belonged to my great-grandmother. Her name was Viva, but I knew her as Nanny. She was just a glorious woman, made some of the best milkshakes I have ever had, and way better than any restaurant. And I recently found out, asking my mom why they were like, no one ever tasted, like their milkshakes never tasted as well as Nanny's, and it's because she put raw eggs in her milkshakes. Clearly I'm fine. Nanny Viva was my namesake. My parents wanted to give me my own sense of like personality, my own road to walk down, hence Vivian. But they also wanted to honor her in a way, which I think is just one of the greatest ways to like name a child in honor of someone. When my mom, Nanny had this for the longest time, and then we got it, and it was just so worse for wear. My mom was getting ready to donate it because I come from a crafter's family. We have a lot of projects to get done. And I'll talk about another one that I'm currently working on that also belonged to Nanny. In the grand scheme of things, it was a little bit too much right now to set on my mom's plate for her to fix up, to transform into something beautiful. And she was just gonna donate it, and I was like, no, I can't let you do this. This has been in our family for so long, so I took it. Instead of, because all my footage is lost, filming that process, I'm just gonna explain to you guys what I did to fix this chair up as kind of like an Crafting with Anxiety 2.5. It was relatively simple, kept a lot of like the scruffs and the scrapes, and there are some things that I could not do because I'm not that skilled yet, but it is something I wanted to keep a lot of the integrity of the piece still intact to show how far that this piece has come. Clearly, the chair, armless, it's always been like that. The best part about it is that it does fold up for storage. As you can see, there are some, like right up here, all around the base. You can see that there's scruffs and there's some scratches, and unless it was inhibiting the ability to sit in the chair, I didn't want to like mess with it. Like I said, I wanted to keep the integrity, and a part of this chair, because it shows the journey that this chair has been through. Step-by-step process. First off, I cleaned it because it's been several years since this has been cleaned. It's been in storage. So what was needing to be fixed? This side. It's fixed now. This is kind of like a different tone. We don't know where this chunk went, but the underneath wood, this has been a painted or a stained wood, but underneath this wood is just a regular old brown. So that part I did want to paint. So I used some acrylic paint mixed with Mod Podge. Did you guys know, like, have you ever seen those memes where it's like, I was today years old when I found out? I've always called it Mod Podge. Not Mod Podge, which it is called. Please comment in the comment below. Like, do you guys know that it's called Mod Podge and not Mod Podge? Like, am I the only one? Anyway, so a little bit of a mixture of that. The paint I used was a matte acrylic paint, so the Mod Podge that I used provided that shine to match the shine of the chair. The most of the damage and the things that needed to be fixed was the back portion and the seat. It's still a little wobbly. As you can see, it wiggles, but it's not as bad as it used to be before. A lot of the joints right here were very loose because it's almost like it was like an IKEA piece of furniture, and it's stuck together by like wooden dowels and some metal work. But the wooden dowels were starting to separate. The old glue that was used was just deteriorating, basically. I wood glue throughout all the joints that were kind of sticking out, making sure that it wasn't as wobbly as this. Believe me, it was way worse. I then took the process of, we had this trim that was there originally, and the fabric was just starting to fray, the trim was falling off. Years upon years of farts probably have been collected in this chair. Have you guys ever, again, another thing for you guys to comment below, do you ever think of the weird thought of like once you sit down on a chair, how many farts have been collected in said chair? No, just me? Okay, cool. Gosh, I'm a weird kid. Everything was starting just to break down, fray, tear, whatever, and the next process was taking off, basically ripping up the trim, cutting away the fabric. I really wanted to try and save the original fabric, but it was just too far gone with the way that the staples and the glue and everything that held together. It was really difficult to get the fabric off in like one piece. So unfortunately, not gonna happen. So once that was all off, I removed all the old staples for safety purposes and again, cleaned it up. And then from years of use and everything, a lot of the inner structural wood was pretty rough. So that got sanded down along the edges right here. This is just fabric altogether here, but there are some brace pieces right along the edges for that fabric and that fluff, as I call it, to brace against and basically provide the structure of the chair. So once that was all taken off, it was sanded, it was, I'm trying to recall, all the staples were off, sanded, that part was cleaned. You can kind of see it right there, you see that? That is a piece of plywood. That got off. I, again, sanded the part. That part originally could detach, but I wanted it to be safe and just in case no more slippage or anything, that part right there got wood glued down. Normally, a lot of chairs nowadays would have this fabric folded over that plywood base as a way to hide the edge of the fabric, but not this chair, and I wanted to try and copy it as much as possible just to keep the integrity of the chair. I glued that sucker down so I wouldn't slip, no one would fall through, I didn't want any accidents. And then came the fun part, which was reconstructing this beautiful, like, the seating area. So what I used, and I can show you guys, batting. Now this is the thing that you put in between the layers of your quilt for either like some layers or warmth. That's normally what this is used for. And so this is what is underneath this and in between the two layers of fabric on here, just for added support. It's not fun to sit on a wood chair. I think I grabbed a medium weight for a queen size. You can buy them in rolls specifically to the size of whatever quilt you're making, or you can just buy them by the yardage. But I bought the medium weight for a queen size quilt. I have, this is like one layer. Yeah, this is one layer right here. So there is 2, 4. So I folded it over like that about 4 times, and that's how much is underneath here. Here is just 2 layers. So 4 layers of batting, 2 layers of batting up here. Got glued down by tacky glue, which is a all-purpose adhesive basically. So it will slide, the top layers will slide, but the entirety as a whole won't slide as much as you'd think it would. This didn't. We'll explain that in a minute. So I cut the fabric basically to the outside length of the chair, and that is called basically like a seam allowance almost. Same with this. I cut it out to the length of the chair. That way when I trimmed it back, I would have plenty of working room. Now to construct. So, as I could show you, there's a back part to this. What I did is because I actually found out I did not have enough of the antique trim that was gifted to me, I stapled this down, and then I later glued it because the staples, we had a whole adventure with the staple gun. I don't like staple guns, might fix this later. I laid this part down first. I laid the batting down, and then I laid the top layer of fabric on top of that. And then I stapled that all down and then glued it as well. So that way there is the 2 layers, but I didn't have to worry about stuff falling out on me. And then with this, like I said, I glued down the batting, and then I laid the fabric down and I stapled all along the base of this so that it stayed in place. Once everything was all set and I liked the position of the staples and everything, all the glue had dried, I then went and took a pair of tiny scissors and I trimmed up until the edge, right here, where the trim is actually sitting. This is how the original chair was constructed, was everything was trimmed super close. And you're like, Vivian, why would you do that? Because you would see the edge and the frays, and normally people would fold the fabric under the seat thing. Nope. Again, following the original thing of the chair, the original design. The trim is there, this beautiful gold black trim is there to hide the edge of the fabric and the staples. With the trim, I used tacky glue. I prefer tacky glue when it comes to my craft projects. You could definitely use hot glue. Not quite sure what original glue was on this piece. As an example, let's find a pin. I started out usually somewhere where it's kind of hidden. So like say right here, I would lay the trim down. Not first, I would lay a glue dot down and then I would pin it, and I would keep laying glue and then laying trim, pin, glue, trim, pin, all around here and all around the base. And I kept the extra length of trim on until it was completely dry, just in case I needed to readjust anything, pull anything out. But the whole project itself took about 3 days between all the gluing and trimming and everything. But once that was all dry, I readjusted a few things, but lo and behold, once it all got finished, pins were out, I trimmed the trim, sat on it, still a little creaky. So it's probably going to be more of a decorative piece than anything. I will say that despite the accidental loss of footage, I am still extremely proud of this chair. That is one of my bright spots for today with my anxiety. I am so trying hard to like not freak out. I will say, every time I walk into my room and I see this and I think with like, I mean, it's totally my color pattern. The original, as you saw before, that I inserted a photo of, it was like a tan floral, and now it's like a red, deep red, with the dark and the black and gold trim. It just fits my aesthetic. And the best thing about Nanny is that she was born, I think, 1901, 1902. She was born at the very turn of the century. And she grew up during the Depression. Her family were farmers. She was one of 11 kids. Like, she knew how to be resourceful and crafty. And I think when I showed my mom and my dad, who knew Nanny way more than I did, they were extremely proud of how it turned out. And they said that Nanny would have loved it, and the fact that I saved it from going to a donation center or a landfill. That makes me happy to hear them say that. So I'm beyond proud of, again, another project that I finished. So yeah, guys, that is the chair that I'm extremely super proud to have finished. Like I said, it's probably going to be more of a decorative piece than anything. Probably like we'll sit themed items on it, or I'll just sit in the corner as Nanny's chair, and it'll be because we've been through the ghost thing. I believe in them, but sometimes it'll just rock by itself, and it's almost like Nanny saying, hey, what's up? She probably was like sitting there just drinking one of her raw egg milkshakes. I was going to show you another project that I am working on from her, and right now it's in a bag. I don't really want to take it out of the bag because it is keeping it safe, but I was gifted. And this will sit on Nanny's chair. But as you can see, this is a quilt. This is a hand-stitched, probably 1950s, I think is what my mom said. Maybe even earlier before that. Just a utility quilt. This would sit on the end of the guest bed or it would on the back of the couch. Everyone would use this quilt. This belonged to Nanny. She made this. It sat in her home for a long time. When I was talking to my mom about it and telling her that I would love the opportunity to recreate or transform this into something that could be used again. She jumped on it and she's like, yeah, here, let me show you how to do that. So it is all hand stitched, which is mind-boggling. This is going to be a large endeavor, but I am stoked to be able to make this into something that is usable again. I feel like when it comes to any crafting with anxiety, focusing on a goal and an outcome is very helpful for me. It keeps my mind on something else than those intrusive thoughts. And plenty of grandma nanny's projects to work on. I am so sorry, you guys, about the lack of an actual, like, action video of me fixing the thing. Trust me, it was a hoot, and I'm still pissed at the lack of video, but I have a lot of work to do. Is there something you guys want me to make that you want to see how to do? Or just a project that you want to challenge me to make that I've never tried before? I'm a pretty crafty person, but I'm willing to try anything once. And like I always say, you guys, the more we talk about mental health, the more the stigma breaks and people get the help that they deserve, especially on today, World Mental Health Awareness Day. The more we talk about it, I mean, come on, duh. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I, again, appreciate your constant support and love, and hopefully next time I do have an actual video for you guys. But don't forget to hit that like, comment, and subscribe. Yeah, comment down below. Is it Mod Podge or Modge Podge? Also, how do you think about farts and chairs? Or is that just me? Until next time, guys. Sláinte. Just watch me struggle.